Francesco Portolano lives in Milan and is one of Italy's top technology and media lawyers. As the COVID-19 virus took hold in Italy, Francesco and his family holed up in the Italian mountains. I talked to him about life now, friendships, and the work that still must go on. I'm Brett Farrell, and this is The Lock-In.
Brett.
Francesco.
How are you?
I'm well. And you? Where are you?
I'm well too, actually.
Well, that's certainly good to hear.
Yes, it's crazy times, but I've been stuck in the mountains because when this happened, we rent a place for the whole year in the mountains.
Yeah.
And so when this happened, this was on a Saturday. On a Saturday night, they announced that they were going to close down the region where Milan is.
Yeah.
And so we decided that we were going to stay here. And that was March 6th.
So
then
you can't go back to your apartment in Milan now.
Well, for some time they left the rules that you could go back if you wanted. So that was for about 2 weeks, but we didn't want to go. We wanted to stay here because we thought it was, overall, you're in lockdown and you're in a place where you can. I can see the mountains I'll send you a picture. You can see the mountains
I'd love to see that.
From my home. You can take a walk around, and you are almost in the middle of the woods, and you are in a nice open area as opposed to being in a city all with concrete and everything.
Yeah.
And also, we thought that it would be worse for lines in the supermarkets and everything, and that's right, actually. So my friends that are stuck in Milan, they had to go to the supermarket. Maybe they had to stay in line for half an hour or 2 hours. 2 hours, depending on the time of day.
But are you fully isolated in the mountains, or are you near a town or a village?
I'm in a small village. There may be about 300 people here.
Oh, wow. Everyone looking after each other?
Well, not so much, actually. I mean, yes and no. I mean, since I'm not from here, the first few days, some people were like, they didn't want to have strangers, foreigners, so to speak, here in the mountains. So you could hear, I mean, nothing tragic, to be honest, but you could tell that some people were not, they don't want to have non-residents, people that were from outside. Yeah. But then, now I can't go back, so now they can't say anything. Now I have to stay here. Now nobody can move from anywhere to go anywhere except for work.
For how long? But for how long will you be stuck there now? I mean, it sounds like a lovely place to be stuck, but...
Yes, it is. But I am stuck in a lovely place to be stuck since. So I am here since March 6th. I cannot go anywhere since about 10 days.
And how are the family?
Family is good. Family, I have of course my wife and two now teens, 16 and 14, and
Wow.
They don't necessarily love to be here, but when they, this thing came about on Friday. So the first thing started on the February 23rd, February 20th. So then nobody took this seriously except me. I mean, this is funny. On that day, I realized I had some cough and some, lung constriction. I couldn't really breathe well. So I thought, I wonder whether this is coronavirus. So I called my two brothers who are doctors and I asked, so guys, what do you think? Could this be it? I was thinking, if this is it, I was a little bit scared, not so much for myself, but I didn't want to infect anybody. So I left the office immediately. And as I was calling them, and I called them and I asked, so what should I do? Should I go on the mountains and self-isolate by myself without going home? And I expected them to say, forget it, this is bullshit. And they said, yes, that's the right thing to do. And I was like, wait a minute, this is serious. So on Friday the 20th, I drove by myself on the mountains to come by myself here and stay here and understand what it was. So, but then, the day after I had nothing. And so my brothers told me, okay, you're okay. So I stayed here 2 days and came back. And the kids didn't want to come to the mountains, for no reason whatsoever, because they're teens. They want to stay in the city with their friends.
Yeah, of course.
So that was a few days. So then we had a weekend here. There was the weekend of March 5, 7, with some friends and everything. And we all came. And on that weekend, on March, I think it was the 7th, Saturday 7. On March 7, the news came out that the legislation was going to go out, that all of Lombardy was going to be in lockdown, and Milan is in Lombardy. So at that point, panic struck across the nation.
Yeah, okay.
And a lot of people decided to immediately leave Lombardy. We didn't know what to do. With the friends that were here, some friends actually left that very night, left, a friend of mine left at midnight because he was afraid that when they said that the lockdown also meant you couldn't go back home.
Yeah, okay.
So from then, the kids realized seriously, and they haven't complained.
Yeah.
So they realized that this is a serious thing.
Well, I think
this is a serious thing.
But that's the great thing about teens, as grumpy as teenagers can be, they do understand when things need to be serious.
Yes, at some point they understand. Yes, they did understand, and so we're hanging in. I mean, we just go out once a day, or maybe sometimes not even once a day. And but here, really, there is nobody around. I'm on the terrace now and by the street, and of course, you can't hear anybody walk around, or you can hear anybody.
I can hear the birds,
cars or anything. Yes, you can hear the birds exactly.
And what you can just go and get some great food, bring it back to where you are, and just have a big family time.
Yeah, believe it or not, the funny thing is apparently across Italy, one of the things you cannot find in the supermarkets, there's everything, but one of the things you cannot find, I read it on Twitter, I read it on the newspapers, friends of mine have told me, and it's true, at our supermarket, you can barely find yeast. Because a lot of people, yes, because people are in lockdown, and so, of course, there's nothing, a lot of people don't have much to do. Frankly, I'm working my ass off, but a lot of people are in lockdown, and so what they do is pizza.
Oh, lovely.
So this is a great nation. So can you believe it that pretty much everybody's making pizza to do something with their time.
Yeah.
And so food is not a problem. We have everything. Frankly, that's not a problem. And we can, it's really frustrating mentally, but in practical terms, for certain people, it's okay because, their job is guaranteed. And again, for me, it's not guaranteed, but I'm working hard and the firm is busy. So far, things seem to be okay.
But how
there's a lot of people that are...
But sorry, how are you still working? Like, what work is there to do at the moment?
Well, it's funny. I mean, there's a mix of things that go on, that keep going on. For example, there are a couple of transactions, of M&A transaction. One was supposed to be closed on the 25th and didn't close. And so now we're trying to see whether it closes later. Maybe we can sue the other guys. And then there's another transaction, which is slowly going forward, as if nothing happened, actually. And in the contract that they signed, so they need to close, but the contract that they signed, they expressly said, and that was our clients, that the emergency, the COVID-19 emergency, is not a good reason not to close.
Wow.
So that's some of that. Well, that's amazing, but yeah, so that's some of that. And of course, there's work to tackle the emergency. So there's a major disruption.
Yeah.
And everything, supply chains, also things like I can literally not go to my office, for example, I'm in lockdown, or the client cannot come to my office to do their work. So there's a lot of different things that are going on. So there's some work of that nature.
Yeah.
And there's all sorts of things. So it will come down to slowly at halt if it lasts for more than a couple of months, I think.
And how are your friends who are still in Milan? What's their life like right now?
Milan, to be honest, we had war here in Italy and in our land, and it was, so you were bombed and everything. So it is really, I don't know. And instead here we have food, you can go out to do exercise. You can go out to do your to buy food. So it's not a lockdown the way I understand it was in China.
Okay.
Having said that, in Milan, for example, all they hear is there's no noise. All they hear is ambulances, the sirens of ambulances.
Wow.
And then
That must be haunting.
you go. It is haunting because you hear that's all they hear. Every few minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, and and the city is really empty and deserted. So that is maybe 1 or 2 days. Well, it's fine, but every time you go out, it's like that. And some people, of course, most people don't have a terrace. You know how it is here in Italy. So most people live in flats, in apartments, and so most people don't have a terrace or anything. So some people have been, haven't gone out for like 2 weeks. A friend of mine yesterday told me that she hadn't gone out for 2 weeks.
Oh,
she hadn't gone out of the house for 2 weeks. So people are resorting to all sorts of activity. So another friend told me yesterday that he does exercise. Goes up and down the stairs, for an hour. So he walks up and down the stairs for an hour. Well, you have to come up with stuff, so it's not good, to be honest. It could be much, much worse. That's right, but it is not good. And people are getting worried about their future. To be honest, that's the problem.
Okay, so there's no optimism or is there any optimism that people this will pass soon, or are people now?
Well, the first few days that you had a lot of, you may have seen it on TV. People were singing in the street, and not on the streets, on the balconies and everything. So some of that is, I think, is going to wear out slowly. Some people, a lot of people are very worried, rightly so, because imagine if you are in the restaurant business. Imagine if you are, the silly things. Nobody can cut their hair, so. And the barbers, the hairdresser, these are people that don't have months of reserves in cash. So to be honest, there's a lot of people that are in very difficult times. Fortunately, we have our legislation, our government, we have a relatively strong, legal social welfare network. So people, if you get laid off, you have right to a certain amount of money for quite a significant number of months. For example, the government has extended the right to, so you can tell the government that, for example, for 3 months, not gonna pay this person because you don't need that person, and the government is gonna step in and pay 80% their salary. So there are a lot of these things that are in place.
Yeah, and I see other governments around the world now adopting similar measures.
Well, you have to do it because the reason here. I didn't realize at first, but I'm trying to speak to a lot of different people to get their views on how to run the office, and the government is telling me. So not the government. These people are. I come to the conclusion. Of course, it's rather obvious, but I didn't think it at first that this is nothing that has ever happened in the world. That all of a sudden, all of the world stops. Period. Nothing happened like this. Even war was different. War was, of course, much more tragic, and this is tragic, but war was much, much, much worse for a million different reasons. But from an economic point of view, this is unprecedented. Unprecedented.
Do you know, Francesco, I remember years ago when I visited you in Milan and when my family flew home, my daughter left her computer games on the aircraft, which somehow ended up at one of the airport's lost property, and you were so kind to go and get and collect her computer games and send them over to me back to where we were. And it just occurred to me now that story is it's a metaphor for where we are, but the computer games, very, very popular in my house right now. Lots of that going on. What are your teenage boys doing to pass the time?
Well, first of all, they do a little bit of school. Not as much as they would do normally. Yeah. So they have classes, and this is one of the stories which, to be honest, I would like them to do more. But to be honest, can you imagine a school which is entirely not equipped? The institution which is entirely unequipped for this. All of a sudden, in 7 or 8 days, you get these teachers that have done none of that have actually shifted to, and have never used video conferencing. It's not like you and I that, we're used to using it. You give me a system or another, I can do it. They've never done it. And the school didn't have the equipment, or they didn't have to have the equipment, and they don't have to have, the tools for it. And all of a sudden they had to. And I've heard stories, and to some extent I apply also to my kids, of these teachers that have done incredible stories. I mean, you get these teachers that are close to retirement, never been using a computer, and all of a sudden they're like shifting and going back and forth and teaching classes. So that's part of their day.
Oh, no.
Not a lot. I would like to do more, but I understand. You're a teacher. You have 2 kids. You're in a home, and then you don't have as many computers, and so that is a problem for everybody. And so they do a bit of that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And then what do they do in the afternoons?
They do a little bit of homework, not as much as they should.
Every parent ever.
Yeah, I mean, this is not good. I mean, they're going to be out of school for 7 or 8 months. That's the reality of it. So this is not good at all. But again, we could be bad. So far, so good. So, and then they are on TV watching. We don't have a PlayStation here. So, and we didn't have it shipped. So I refuse to have that happen. So we don't have a PlayStation. So they watch TV, which is better than PlayStation. They're on the phones doing a couple of things, either playing or also watching. Sometimes, they even watch. They start to be interested in politics, so they watch a little bit of politics. They do quizzes on the phones. We do board games, not a lot, but we do a bit of board games. So towards the evening, we do Scrabble, we do Quirkle, we do different board games.
As a dad, how are you? Because I'm having a tough time with this one, but how do you just keep everyone, I don't know, motivated, together, doing what they need to do, focused?
I tell them a lot, but 16 and 14. I don't remember your kids how old they are, but
12 and 10.
It's really a challenge. 12 and 10. So maybe easier, maybe I don't know, maybe more difficult. It's difficult. It's very difficult. We try to do it, and they of course don't listen that much, but they do listen a little bit. So at some points, I think they do they do realize to some extent that they need to do it. So of course, when I tell them, they don't really want to show that they listen. But to some extent, I do get them to, they do get spontaneously to sit down and do homework. But I don't know how I would have done when I'm 16. You're like.
We didn't have these challenges. We just went to school.
Exactly.
Came home.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. What would you do? I mean, would I have actually reason to the occasion and understand that this is a change that is going to be forever, and therefore you need to do something. So I have a responsibility. So for me, it's different, but for the office as well, and so for them, they know they feel safe. They know that we of course make an effort not to show any particular concern, and even if we all are concerned at some level. So
yeah. And do you think this is going to change Italy in the long term? The way the people are, the way the culture is.
I don't think that's a big question that everybody's is asking, and some people are hoping for, in the sense that there are some things that could make this is one of those things that could make us either better or worse, and to be honest, we have reacted as a nation overall in a quite positive way, and of course this is a little bit too early to judge, but this is about 2-3 weeks depending on the area, 4 weeks in other areas. And, people are extremely, generally speaking, I mean, you have 60 million people. Of course, there's going to be people that don't respect the law, but the average, not the average, by far the largest part of the population is just sticking patiently to what they have been told, and also with rules that aren't very clear. So they've shown an incredible amount of patience and a gigantic effort. We had a call for voluntary doctors. We had a call for 30 doctors. I think 600 volunteered.
Goodness.
We had a call for 500 nurses, 8,000 volunteered. So, it may be, we hope it's going to change us for better. I mean, maybe we can learn that some things are not necessary. One of the things, I don't know if you guys are on lockdown and you've seen that, but here, we've seen already animals back in the cities. You've seen dolphins in the ports. We've seen, if you go to Venice, you actually now the water in the channels is see-through. You can see the bottom of the channels and you see the fish in the channels. So that's something that we realize that it's crazy how much, I've come here in the mountains for many times, but I never heard the birds so much. And in the morning I hear a woodpecker. Never heard a woodpecker. Nearly all are. So that's one aspect, and maybe we will. Italy rises when typically that's typical of Italians. We sort of lazy and a bit creative and a bit disorganized. But maybe we'll rise to the occasion and we'll show our better angels. Who knows? That's what we hope. Certainly, people are missing each other. I can tell we're missing each other incredibly.
How are you coping with that? Food. Because you're such a affectionate and touching, really kissing nation. How are people just having family life now?
Well, it's terrible. It's terrible because a lot of people are dying, and you can't even say hi or bye. So that's one thing. And the other thing is people have come up with all sorts of crazy parties and stuff online. They do it. We do it online. We do it on video. We do it on video.
I think it will be good the days where we can all gather around a table again and just share that pizza rather than just being alone with each other.
It is crazy. I mean, I must say, yesterday really dawned on me. I mean, I was like, man, I would really like to hug my friends, to be with them, but it's not going to be for a long time, we think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Anyhow, how are you? Are you guys okay? I mean, are you in full lockdown?
No, we're okay. We're in a ever increasing lockdown, bit by bit by bit.
That's a problem,
Yeah,
that's a problem. You see, they do ever increasing, and that's a mistake. That's one of the mistakes they did here. Probably, they should have locked down everything. I understand it's difficult, but from a purely, health point of view, I mean, there is no other choice than full lockdown right away.
Yeah, we'll
and
see.
They did a mistake here, and they were too lenient at the beginning. I think that's my small opinion.
Well, Francesco, I really love what you said a moment ago, and it's true. May our better angels prevail. Thank you so much for talking to me. I think the real shame is that it took this event for me to pick up the phone to you.
You know what? I thought the same, but not about this. But I'm calling a lot of people that I haven't talked to for years. But better late than never.
Yeah, exactly. And I really want to see those photographs of where you are. Send me a selfie as well. Send me some photos.
I'll send you something right away. I'll send you something. Good. It's good to hear you guys are safe.
Yeah, and you. I know Italy's not probably the best place to be right now, but gee, I'd love to be in those mountains.
Yeah, when you see the pictures, you really say that. I mean, it's amazing. I'm at 1,500 meters. That's where my place is, and I'll send you a picture of a fort on top of a mountain, which is at 3,000 meters.
Oh, come on!
Which I can see from my place. I'm actually looking at it right now. 3,000 meters.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll send you a picture.
With France.
I'll send you a picture that I took about 2 hours ago when I was just down by the harbour. I'll share one with you that I took today as well.
That's not bad either, I'm sure.
It's all right.
I'm sure it's great.
I'm Brett Farrell, and this is The Lock-In.